Hello, I am Beau.
And I'm Aaron.
And this is episode 5 of Azure Ages. And if you're just joining us on Azure Ages, this doesn't have a linear format like Old Games Plus does. We're not breaking down narratives. We're covering a different game each week, so you don't really have to go back and listen to the old episodes. But
do it anyways.
I do suggest you do. If you like what you're hearing, please subscribe. Click that bell to know when we got new videos up.
Yep.
Because we don't want you to just subscribe. We want you to enjoy the show. We want you to enjoy the podcast. But on Azure Ages, what we do is we take games that just really embody that classic fun of video games.
Yes.
That addictive, arcadey, pick up and play gameplay. I think that's one of the main things.
Pick up and play. Yeah. That's a good way of putting it. Because this is the kind of stuff where if you played it in the real arcade, not at your console at home, your parents hated you for taking $10 worth of quarters. Right.
And so killer soundtracks, killer sound, killer gameplay. That's what we're talking about on Azure Ages. And today we are going to go over a game that I absolutely adore. Aaron was actually the one that suggested about it.
Weirdly enough, I was the one that thought of it.
Very glad. Because we were talking about old Sega collections.
Yeah.
And
so good.
It's Golden Axe. We're talking about Golden Axe. Golden Axe is a fantastic beat-em-up game. It is one of Sega's finest. So we're finally talking about a Sega game again.
Yes.
We're talking about a game that was birthed as an arcade game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm about to prove Aaron completely wrong at one point in this episode.
He thinks.
So let's see here. My notes say introduction, covered that. Relevant links, covered that. Banter.
Here we go. You're wrong.
No, hang on. That's not really banter.
I'm too aggressive. I'm sorry.
So anyway, we do have a little development history on this game because I'm such a Sega nerd. I'm all about the different development houses within Sega and stuff like that. So this was made by Sega R&D 1.
Okay.
Which Sega R&D 1, it kind of has an interesting history. They didn't formally shut it down and make it AM1, but it shut down and all those guys went to AM1.
Okay.
But R&D 1, they were responsible for it's like a laundry list of pre-Sonic Sega. So you've got Fantasy Zone, which of course is the side scrolling shooter.
Yep.
Fantastic game. Great soundtrack. Alex Kidd, The Lost Stars, which wasn't the first Alex Kidd game. But one interesting thing about Alex Kidd, and we need to do an episode about that, Alex Kidd was originally licensed to be a Dragon Ball game.
What?
Yep. And Toy I don't know if it was Toy Animation or Shonen Jump or Toriyama himself, but whoever it was pulled the license at the last minute.
Wow.
And it was kind of like the Warcraft thing, where Games Workshop pulled the Warhammer license at the last minute, and they were like, well, crap, we still got to put a game out. So they just were like, okay, he's not a monkey anymore. He's just a kid with big ears. His name's Alex Kidd.
Huh. That's something.
So Alien Syndrome, Shinobi, the original Shinobi.
Dang.
And Altered Beast.
God, Shinobi.
Which
Altered Beast is so good, too.
Most people don't know Altered Beast was the original pack-in title for the Genesis and the Mega Drive.
Really?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Because Sonic didn't come out until 91.
That's true.
Yeah, so
That's true.
that was what came with your system.
Wow.
And they actually fought tooth and nail. Sega of Japan fought tooth and nail against Tom Kalinske, the president of Sega of America, because he was like, make Sonic a pack-in title. And they're like, no, we're not making our best-selling game a pack-in title. They're going to have to buy it separately. And he's like, no one gives a shit about Altered Beast anymore. Sonic's out. Put Sonic in there. And it was the smartest thing in the world because Genesis took over the market in North America. Genesis dominated for about 2 or 3 years. Anyway, this isn't about Sonic, although it's Sega, so it's always about Sonic. A guy that worked at R&D 1, Makoto Uchida, which is funny because it kept autocorrecting every time I wrote my notes to Uchiha.
I figured that's where it was going to
go. So
Naruto fan.
But he was formerly the director of Altered Beast,
and
he really wanted to make something like Double Dragon.
I could definitely see that.
And he's the only one he's the only game director in the history of man that wanted to make a game like Double Dragon that wasn't just Double Dragon. Final Fight, because you look at Final Fight, you even look at it, God bless him, I love Sega, but even look at Streets of Rage. It's what is it? Like decrepit 80s action movie cityscape with gangs overrunning it.
Yep. Escape from LA.
But Uchida, he was a huge fan, believe it or not, of the first Conan the Barbarian movie.
Oh no!
Loved the original Conan the Barbarian movie. So he's like, I want this game to look like that. And I think he nailed it because this game really looks like those TSR.
It
makes
does.
like TSR second edition covers.
It does.
That's what it like.
And the barbarian
classic
character,
sword and sorcery. We're getting to that, and that's what's going to prove that the dwarf is not the best character. We're not even to that yet.
Ah, man.
So, and another thing was he was like, "How do we get people back to the arcades? Because this is the late '80s in Japan. What's everyone doing? They're staying home and they're playing Dragon Quest."
Yeah.
So he was wanting to compete with Dragon Quest, and he's like, "So what do they like about Dragon Quest?" He's like, "I'm not going to make an arcade RPG, but he's like the sword and sorcery element."
Yeah.
And he went more heavily with the sword and sorcery element, obviously.
Yeah,
because Dragon Quest is very cutesy. It's a very kid friendly, and this is like this is heavy metal album covers.
Yeah, it really does.
Golden
It looks
Axe.
like it looks like a power metal album cover.
So let's go over the story and the characters. This is where you're going to eat crow.
Crap.
I'm reading directly from the Genesis. This was originally an arcade game, but it came out on the Genesis Mega Drive in 1990. So it's pre-Sonic Genesis.
Dang.
Uria is a strange land with evil oppressors. That's the sentence. Death Adder soldiers have invaded every village.
Yeah.
And Death Adder himself has massacred thousands. Finally, like they were waiting on that. He's kidnapped the king and his daughter. It says the king and his daughter, and then specifies that his daughter is the princess.
Just in case you didn't know how that worked.
And seized the golden axe. Only the strongest and craftiest warriors now have any chance of defeating him. 3 warriors appear to challenge Death Adder. I'm going to save his name, so they list who they are.
Okay.
I'm going to save the barbarian character for last. I'll start off with Tiras Flare, the Amazon.
Yeah.
Appears from the deep jungles to overcome the oppressors. With sword skill and lightning magic, she vows to save the kingdom.
She's cool because she has the most magic of the characters.
Gilius Thunderhead, the dwarf, swings a deadly axe. His tricks and speed in battle can outwit even the most brutal giant.
I mean, that really aided me.
Okay.
Aided me a lot when I played it.
But you're about to get your mind changed.
Oh, crap.
All right. Do you want to know what the barbarian's name is?
Hit me with it.
Axe Battler,
Son
the
of a bitch.
terrible barbarian, arrives from the far plains. His legal name, this man's birth certificate says Axe Battler. He arrives from the far plains. His mighty strength and courage is a match for any enemy. Now, do you know what Axe Battler uses in battle? He uses a two-handed broadsword because do you know what Axe Battler cares about? Oh, you know what he doesn't care about? Your expectations. He doesn't give a shit what you think he's going to fight with.
Son of a...
Like, his mother was like, we'll name him Axe Battler. And their dad is like, why? And she's like, because we'll train him to use a sword and they'll be unprepared, dumbass.
Damn it.
Yeah, Axe Battler is the best character. Far and away. His name is Axe Battler.
I still got further with the dwarf.
It's AX-BATTLER.
Nice. God. He sounds like...
These 3, like many others, have lost cherished loved ones in the war against the reptile fiend Death Adder. Now they swear to defeat him, even at the cost of their lives. The challenge is overwhelming. Defeat. That's
saying
that's
something.
an understatement. This game is hard.
Yes. Yes, it is.
The challenge is overwhelming. Defeat all of Death Adder's soldiers and beasts. Travel the treacherous route to his castle. Demolish Death Adder Jr.
Why is he called Junior?
I don't know. And then face their most powerful enemy, Death Adder himself. The reward, saving the lives of the king and princess and returning peace to the kingdom. That's the plan. But there could be a surprise ending, which there is. Death Adder isn't the final boss.
Wow.
If you beat Death Adder, it's like Death Maker or something. It's some...
I don't even want to know what that fight would be like.
It's terrible. It's awful. I can't beat this game without a co-op. I can't do it.
Yeah. I managed, when I played it here recently, I managed... The reason why I meme about the dwarf being the best character in the game is because I managed to get through all the way to Death Adder with the dwarf. But I don't know how the hell you're supposed to beat him.
Yeah, Death Adder.
At least alone.
Hard,
At least alone. I did not see any way for a solo win on that one.
So, gameplay.
Yeah.
Gameplay. It is a Sega Genesis controller, so you have start, which will pause. You have A, B, and C. oddly enough, A is magic.
Yeah, it's weird.
That's a learning curve. You will use up all your magic very quick.
You guys watching the podcast, if you're actually like watching it and not just listening to it, you'll see within the first 30 seconds me make that mistake and not have any magic.
B is attack, which feels so natural once you get used to it.
Yes, it does.
C is jump.
Yep.
For those of you that don't remember the Sega Genesis, it was just 3 buttons all in a row, ABC.
Nice and simple until they released the turbo.
Which had 6-button controllers, which you really only needed for fighting games, in my opinion.
Yeah, because it was kind of a hash, like a middle ground between a controller and a fight stick.
Yeah, and I loved the 6-button controller. It was perfect for Street Fighter, which of course is a 6-button fighter.
Yeah.
So the level structure is it's a beat 'em up game.
Yep.
You can move up and down. You can move anywhere you see on the screen. This has some light platforming in it.
Very light. Yeah.
Not major.
Jump up here, jump over this little tiny gap.
Go through a stage, fight a mini boss,
and
then you have a cool little camp screen that plays this silly little music, and your characters are sleeping. And I always liked that as a kid.
Yeah.
Because it lent to that adventure feel.
Yeah.
Like they're on an adventure, they got to take breaks and sleep. Like I really like it. Added to the idea of a quest. For whatever reason, when I think of something being a quest, I always want there to be travel. And rest. That is what that is the first thing I want in a quest.
Not to get a little old games plus on you or not, but I wonder if Golden Axe influenced your DMing style a little bit in that regard, because you were big on campsites and the travel
scenes.
Yeah.
And when we do, Aaron and I played a lot of tabletop TRPGs, role playing games and stuff together, Dungeons and Dragons, stuff like that. And I love those scenes because it's the break.
Yes.
It's the break in the action, and I've always loved that, and it just makes it feel like I feel like that's realistically where characters would speak to each other.
Yeah.
Like on the road, they're probably not. They're worried about getting where they're going. Stuff like that.
It's probably like when I kind of equate it to like whenever you're doing a road trip, you have that first hour or two where you're super excited and you won't shut up and you're all jamming in the car.
Yeah.
And then it's just silence for a little bit because you're just done with the drive.
Right.
Which is why Tolkien was so good. That's how the Lord of the Rings read. They were super psyched when they left the Shire, and then like 30 pages later, they were done.
Which the same can be said for in The Hobbit.
Yeah.
The Hobbit was all about the fact that the road is hard.
Yeah.
But so in your camp scene, little thieves.
Oh God.
Literally little thieves
literally
steal your magic bottles, and you can literally kick the crap out of them.
And it's so satisfying.
And what I love is they'll run around, and you're going to see this eventually on the screen. If not now, that'd be crazy if it happened right now. They'll like run, like you'll kick them, and they'll like run away, and they'll like stop for a minute, like okay. Should I go this way? Let me think. Like, why are you just run?
They just like tippy tap in spot, and then they run somewhere else.
And I don't know if it's supposed to be them going like hum, like they don't know where to go, or if they're just like, you know what? Like, is it right to run? I was caught.
He did kick me over there.
Oh, that's where he wants me to go. I'll show him. But and what's great is you can get more magic jars than they stole from you back.
Yeah, you can get yours back plus 2, I think.
I typically leave these scenes with full magic jars.
Yeah.
Because I use mine sparingly. Because I always play as Axe Battler, as any red-blooded, God-fearing American man would.
See, and as soon as I see a big enemy, I start spamming out that magic. Like, I'm not dealing with this.
Which is great in Golden Axe 1. I actually played through 2 and 3 as well, prepping for this episode. In 2 and 3, my God, you might as well not even have magic.
Yeah.
Like, but we're only talking about 1 here, though.
Yeah.
So the magic system is... Axe Battler has 5 slots to fill magic. Every time you use your magic, it takes a slot. And in Golden Axe 1, magic's pretty much going to wipe the screen.
For the most part. Yeah, unless you're up against boss.
Yeah.
But even then, I bet Axe Battler and the Amazon, I bet a fully charged magic.
Oh yeah.
Might take out most little bosses
that's why
even.
I usually didn't use that. I always say that for the bosses. Bosses are a lot of fun. They're a great challenge.
Yep.
They are a great challenge. They're a lot of fun, and I feel like, I don't know why I feel this way, but I feel like Genesis really beat Super Nintendo on bosses, and that's a weird thing to say because it wasn't like, it's not like, it's not like that was a part of the system design. Like when they were wooing developers, like your bosses will be cooler in our system. I just feel like for whatever reason, Genesis developers, which was mostly Sega, they just felt they made bosses memorable and fun. Like Gunstar Hero bosses are amazing.
Yeah.
Golden Axe bosses, they're not like they're not like you don't like walk away from like an Elden Ring boss where you're like, that was just an incredible experience. But they're fun, they're varied,
and they're surprisingly different, especially for that time.
Their design is really cool.
Yes,
their designs are really cool.
Like they do this cool thing where they give you that like you fight the giant bald dude, big old bald dude with a hammer.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and then you fight the big old dude in the armor with the sword and shield.
Yeah.
And then they do a little bit of like to simplify their task with with that generation of technology, and they like color swap things.
Yeah, palette swapping happened a lot.
You know, which was good. It shows you're like okay, that's one thing. People nowadays are like, oh, you palette swapped an enemy? Like, no, you got to think about it from the 90s, my guy. Like,
didn't have a lot of space on this cartridge.
That and like you're playing this, especially if you're playing it in the arcade or if you're playing it on your Genesis at home, and you just beat the crap out of this dude, this YMCA looking dude in a green outfit, right? Mm-hmm. And then like 2 panels later, that same dude comes in, but he's wearing pink, and you're like, like what does this mean? And he beats the dog crap out of you. Because one thing I learned the hard way is respect these older fighters, because if you let them flank you, you are stun locked out of credits.
Oh yeah.
Be smart, respect the system, because they will cartoon level beat the dog crap out of you if you let them. Like
grabbing you by the ankle and slamming you side to side.
And it's so like it's so funny. It's so funny. Oh my god. Okay, hold on. Like here, let's go on. There's one thing when we talk a little bit more about the combat, I want you to be able to get in while I'm gushing on this. I want to talk about the head knocks.
Yes, it's very
during your combo.
So, and that reminds me of Battletoads, actually.
It does. That's what it makes me think of, too.
It makes me think of Battletoads. Oh, my God, that has to be an episode soon. Battletoads Double Dragon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
But, yeah, the little bashing.
Because I love it, because, like, you like slash, you knock them on the head with your sword a couple times, and you kick them over.
Yep. And it's, to me, it just made it feel like I love things where you fight with a sword, but you don't always fight with your sword.
You're just not swinging it nonstop.
You're not just swinging your sword nonstop. You're kicking. That's one of the things that really attracted me to Ghost of Tsushima was in that combat system. It really felt like he was fighting to stay alive.
Yeah.
So the art, we mentioned the artwork in the game earlier. The artwork was. It was distinctly Western in its style.
Yes.
That was a conscious decision on their part. It's not very anime-y.
No, it looks very American fantasy.
Very much like when Dungeons & Dragons was owned by TSR.
Yes.
The covers of those books.
Yeah, like
80s metal album covers.
Yes. Like very advanced Dungeons & Dragons.
Tiris, the Amazon, literally looks like something that would have been airbrushed on the side of a van.
Yeah,
in the 80s.
She almost has a Red Sonja vibe.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
And Axe Battler is Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah, literally.
100% Conan the Barbarian. I think in Golden Axe 3, his sword even has the spikies.
Oh, really?
On the side. You know how like Conan's sword goes up and then it has the two little spikes? Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. And Gilia's Thunderhead actually is when you first lent me the Dragonlance books in grade school, that's how I pictured Flint.
Yeah.
That was literally how I pictured Flint. Was a short dwarf, kind of fit.
Yeah.
With a the spike,
like
the
almost
Viking
helm. Yeah.
And an axe, of course.
Yeah. Axe and a big old beard.
So I love it. He used an axe. Axe Battler does not use.
He
an
uses
axe.
a sword.
I love it. Like. Just like I imagine, because he like shows up to the fight, they're like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "I am Axe Battler," because Dolph Lundgren is playing him in the movie.
Yes,
obviously. And they're like, "But you're using a sword." Yes, I know I'm using a sword. All right, we know. Okay. Well, you're a genius. You're a genius. You know what? Fight's over. Can't beat him.
He figured it out. And the guy's like, "Look, okay, I'm sorry. I said that." And then Axe Battler like hits the button on his sword, and two little axe blades come out. He's like, "Got you!" and cuts him.
Or better yet, the guy's like, "You know what? I'm sorry, that was presumptuous. I mean, Axe Battler's just like, no, it's okay. All right."
It's like
okay.
I overreacted too.
This is my issue, man.
Yeah.
You just met me. Anyway,
I'm sorry I just trauma dumped on you.
let's have a good, clean fight. And then, of course, in the middle of the fight, he hits the guy in the head 3 times with the pommel of his sword and kicks him. Or uses magic and just kills him outright. One thing that I actually really love, we're talking about the art direction of the game, is, okay, Streets of Rage, Double Dragon, you're saving the city from these gangs. But you're never seeing who you're saving.
Yes.
In Golden Axe, like every once in a while, you'll hear
the
that
crowd
weird Genesis scream, and then like children and women, you know, stuff will run by.
Fleeing.
I love it because, like, as a kid and even as an adult, I just remember like walking around as Axe, but like you're fucking ripped, dude. Like you got the loincloth on, like you are jacked, like you are like your muscles go to work out when you're asleep.
Yes.
Like you just wake up and you're like, see, you've been busy, boys. Like. And so just this glistening like, barbarian just walking by, and all these people are running by him, and he just keeps calmly walking towards the danger as they run.
With the flashing go.
So fucking, yeah. Because one thing I love, the only direction you can ever go is right.
Yes,
and
just
the game
forward.
And so basically, it's not telling you which direction to go.
It's just telling you
done
go.
whooping ass right here.
Yeah.
Like you've whooped
Walk
all the
on.
ass there is. Move along.
God. Did you ever try and like swipe at the villagers when they ran by? Because I always do.
Get it.
They start running at me. I'm like, get out here. Yeah.
Go get it. And then like as they run away, you're like, they're good kids.
I think I accidentally spammed my magic at him once, and I sat there in disappointment because I was out of magic at that point. I was like, well, that was.
I hate it.
That was good. Good use.
The soundtrack to this game is
oh my god,
incredible.
it is insane.
This is peak Genesis music.
It is
so
awesome.
early. And so one thing I didn't like when the internet started talking about video games, like around like when the internet decided they're going to do like discourse about video games. So this is around the time of like James Rolfe and the Angry Video Game Nerd, stuff like that, which I like and I dislike the Angry Video Game Nerd. Like, it has to be the right episode for me.
Yeah, it depends. It's subject matter for me.
I like what he did for retro gaming. I like that he brought attention to, like, there are games older than what was on your GameCube, bud.
Yes.
Like, go dig.
A whole host of amazing things.
Anyway, I feel like when that whole movement started, people were just like, the Genesis' sound was awful. It was terrible. The Genesis' sound was distinct.
Yes.
Like, the Genesis had a very distinct sound card.
Yeah.
And I think it sounds incredible. Like, there's whole, like, it's synthwave.
Yes. I was like, you want to talk, I was literally about to say it. You want to talk smack. I bet you that garage-built synthesizer you got over there has a sound card out of a Genesis. Shut up.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Like, there's
it's
this
so amazing.
Genesis sound, and, like, what it was I feel like the Genesis was a lot like Sega's, all of Sega's other systems except for the Dreamcast. The Dreamcast was pretty user-friendly.
Yeah.
They wanted to make the Dreamcast user-friendly to program for. The Saturn was the worst one. Everyone said the Saturn was, but I think the Genesis was anyone could have made a game on it, but if you really sat and learned the Genesis, you could make a fucking game.
You could make a masterpiece on it.
And I think the sound. His name was Yu Takada, which is weird because everywhere I've ever read it spelled, it's not the normal Y-U, like Yu Suzuki, or who is one of the greatest directors of all time, who worked for Sega.
Yeah.
Or Yu Narukame, which is the name they assign canonically to the Persona 4 main character.
Yeah.
Because the joke is you.
Yeah. I love Persona.
But owned by Sega now. Atlas is.
Oh.
By Sega. Yeah. If you buy Persona 5, it's got a big old Sega there on it.
I still need to play 5. Fuck.
5. It's. We'll get into that later. I love 5. Before any of you hit dislike, I love 5. We'll get into it later. But this guy's name, it's spelled Y-O-U. Everywhere I've seen it, it's spelled Y-O-U. It's the only time I've ever seen that.
Interesting.
I'm assuming it's pronounced U. If I'm wrong, please correct me.
Yeah.
Because I don't.
That could be a very misunderstanding to it too, because I grew up thinking that Ryu was Ryu.
Yes, that was a huge thing for growing up in our area. And now I can't. Ryu sounds like
it sounds so weird.
Chalkboard.
Yeah,
I can't stand it.
Yeah,
but it's how we all said it as kids.
But it's Ryu.
But anyway, this soundtrack, like you have that silly music when you're chasing the thief. The sound, the music that's playing fits what you're doing so well.
Yes.
I think in these old games, the tracks everyone remembers the most are the first stages. The first stage in this game, I believe that track's called Wilderness. I love it. I love that song.
Yeah. It fits the vibe of the game so perfectly.
Again, you feel like this barbarian walking into a village. Like, I just get the image of like Axe Battler walking up, pulling the broadsword off of his back. The villagers running past him as he stares down the danger. The host of monsters walking towards him, and he just levels his sword, pointing at them. You know, like
just
it's
in a silent challenge.
Yes, it's so good. And one of the things I love about this, and one of the things I love about when I played Elden Ring, because I never played a Souls game before, and I never realized that Miyazaki uses minimalist storytelling.
Yeah.
That it's not that there's not a lot of story there. It's that he's doing that on purpose. And I really, really miss that. Like, I really miss, like, in Elden Ring, it's such a moment when you actually step out into Limgrave and you're looking around and you're like, okay, I'm going to have to do this. Like, and you know, in Golden Axe at the very beginning, when you first encounter those enemies, you're just like, okay, like, I'm gonna have to do this.
Yeah.
And it's very nice not having a scene where it's like, it's been 10 years since Dad died, and now it's up to me. Be honest with you, I'm still not sure I can do it. You know, like, it's great not having to fucking put up. Like, I do like that.
You just dive
it's
right
fine.
into it. Yeah.
It's fine, but it's also fine to just be like, I really like the idea of, like, in fact, they have a backstory for why each character personally hates Death Adder. I can't remember where you find it, but Gilius, his twin brother, was killed.
Okay.
By Death Adder's minions. Tiris, I believe it was like her whole family.
Oh wow.
Was killed. And Axe Battler, it was his mother, which I always like because like with the father, it always feels like a duty to avenge it, but like a mother, you're like, you hurt mama.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
yeah,
like
it's different.
You hurt mama.
Yeah.
But I really also just like the idea that I had when I was a kid. That like Axe Battler just like camping next to a river, you know. he's got a rod in the river. He's got a cold bush light. He's just sitting there, and then he hears some screams, and he's like, "Well, guess that's let me reel in here real quick. I'll come back later. Got plenty of ice in that corner. It should last." Like, I just like the idea. Or even he just walked into town.
Yeah.
Like, he just came in. He's like, okay, I need milk. I need butter. It's going to have to wait.
And then screaming peasants, and he's like, what's going on here?
Yeah, and so it's very satisfying to just have, like, it's very satisfying to just play a video game.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they all have to be like, obviously I don't feel that way.
Yes.
I've already told you guys multiple times one of my favorite games of all time is Xenogears. It's extremely narrative intensive.
Yes.
But I feel like I've been misrepresented a little bit in the past in podcasts, and I'm speaking. I've misrepresented myself. I'm not accusing anyone else of doing it, but I love these highbrow discussions of video games that I did with Don. I love them. Don's a lot fucking smarter than me, so sometimes I'm just treading water intellectually talking to him. The one thing I love is go back and listen to our KOTOR 2 podcast, the one I did with Don. I love that one mostly because it's one of Don's favorite games, and it's just a joy to watch him unleash about it. But one thing I love about it, I think I kept up well, but it is so clear. Like, I am on the court with Jordan at that moment. Like, and I'm like, I'm Kevin Hart on the court with Michael Jordan. It's very difficult for me to keep up with him, but I'm doing my best. But,
That's hilarious.
I love video games, and a lot of it has to do with how they affected me growing up, with how I think and everything.
Yeah.
But a lot of it just has to do with the fact that video games are fun.
Yes.
Like I said before, I think Yu Suzuki is one of the greatest game directors of all time, and I think he would be without Shenmue.
Yeah.
Shenmue is
I could definitely see that.
Shenmue's a masterpiece. Shenmue's amazing. Shenmue has an incredible way of telling you a story, in that it's not telling you a story; it's letting you discover the story.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other games other than Shenmue, because you can miss half the story in Shenmue.
That's true.
You can just miss it.
Yeah.
But every time I play, I unlock scenes that I was like, well, son of a bitch. I didn't know I could do that. But even without that game, I think if all Yu Suzuki had done was Virtua Fighter, Hang On, Outrun, these games that have literally no story, still think he'd be one of the best of all time because there's an art to making gameplay.
Yes.
And I think Golden Axe does it well because it's like, even a half an hour?
I think during my Dwarf run, I went start to Death Adder in 25 minutes. And that was a fairly clean run. I didn't use a single continue almost until I got to the end.
Because it's an arcade game. No one's going to stand there for an hour playing arcade, So that it speaks to this game's brilliance. That 32 years after its release on the Genesis, we could still sit here and talk about it for longer now than it takes to play the game.
Yeah.
I think it speaks volumes to how good that is. And real quick, did you ever have the pleasure of playing the arcade cabinet?
I've been thinking about that, trying to remember for sure. I did play a Golden Axe in an arcade. I don't remember for sure if it was Golden Axe 1 or 2.
Well, Golden Axe 2 was Genesis. 2 and 3 were Genesis exclusive games.
It must have been 1 then.
Well, the arcade had its own sequel.
Oh.
So the arcade game of Golden Axe and the Genesis game of Golden Axe are the same game. But they each had their own sequels. And so in the arcade, it was Revenge of Death Adder.
It was, yes.
Is that the one you played?
Maybe.
That's incredible. I've never played Golden Axe in an arcade. I would love to. So is it a stick and 3 buttons?
Yeah. No, I'm trying to remember. It's been so long. No, it it was a 3-button setup. I remember, I can't remember a whole ton of it, unfortunately, which really hurts. But I distinctly remember playing it on the arcade, and I remember the side art on the machine.
Oh, but it was just incredible.
It belonged on a 70s van of a power metal fan. It was gorgeous from what I remember.
I'm looking it up now. I suggest you at home look up what the arcade cabinet looks like for Golden Axe.
God, this is like unlocking a memory right now. I vaguely remember this. It had to be somewhere around here. The only places I ever played arcades were in bowling alleys.
So,
I remember it being
Golden
awesome
Axe
looking.
has an arcade 1-up, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yes, Golden Axe has an arcade
that's
1-up.
awesome.
Obviously, these always come with more than one. Let's see what's on there. Yeah, Coles, you can use my location. That's fine.
Yeah, sure, Coles.
Just, don't give it to nobody else. Oh God. So yeah, the Golden Axe arcade 1-up. I'm really, really, really. If I ever buy an arcade 1-up, that's the one I'm going to buy. Because, no, you get Golden Axe Revenge of Death Adder, Altered Beast, Shinobi, and what's that last one? Wrestle War?
That doesn't sound familiar to me at all.
No, but it sounds incredible. I can't wait to play Wrestle War. But no, yeah. So arcade 1-up has a cabinet. So
I think I was wrong about the side art on it, but
yeah, I'm looking at the original arcade now.
Yeah, I'm looking at a picture myself, and I'll put one up in the footage.
Which Game Room Goodies has on sale for a pittance, really. $3,495 can get you this arcade.
It's almost worth it.
So there's only 2 players allowed on Golden Axe. Actually, that artwork at the top there, that actually kind of reminds me of the Hanna-Barbera like at fantasy action cartoon.
Yeah.
What was doggone it.
Yeah.
They'll come to me later when we're not recording. Yeah, it's. But it looks like those 70s and 80s Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Fantasy action cartoons.
Oh, that's so sick. God, I'd love to run into one of these in person again.
Well, actually, about that, my wife, where I work, I'm an auto worker. I work for Toyota, and at my factory, we shut down for a week every summer. Mm-hmm. It's fantastic. So
yeah, it's super awesome.
She wants to take the kids to do something this year since we hadn't really gotten to do that these past few years. And the first thing she suggested was Gatlinburg, Tennessee. And Ashley, if you're listening,
safe bet.
Ashley, if you're listening, I'm not telling these people any different than I told you. to your face, and I was like, I would rather die than go to Gatlinburg again. Like, it's like
The first time's cool.
the first time's really cool, but like I feel like Gatlinburg is a lot of stores with shit I'm not interested in buying.
The coolest part of Gatlinburg is the aquarium.
Oh, the aquarium's fantastic.
Yeah.
The aquarium is fantastic. I'll give it that. But I was like, you know what? Like, baseball's back. They just reopened the lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't happen. Baseball's going on. I'm like, I would love to go see the Cubs at the home field. I would love to see the Cubs at Wrigley.
Uh-huh.
She's like, yeah, let's go to Chicago.
Chicago's cool.
So Chicago also has a gigantic arcade.
Oh, really?
They have a gigantic arcade called the Galloping Ghost. It has over like 600 machines.
Oh, damn.
3 of those machines are Golden Axe the Duel, and Golden Axe the Revenge of Death Adder.
Oh,
so
nice.
I am really looking forward to that because obviously we'll go to the game, but I think the game's on a Sunday leading into the week of shutdown.
Uh-huh.
So we'll have a couple of days to do stuff in Chicago, like see the Sears Tower.
Yeah.
Maybe, stuff like that.
That's really dope. I've done that. I recommend it.
But I would really like to go to the Galloping Ghost, which if you guys have a chance, go to the Galloping Ghost website. These arcade, I mean, it's so many arcade games. Daytona USA. I mean, I'm looking at like classic Sega games and
That's fantastic.
stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, just so I'm looking forward to playing a Golden Axe arcade. I can't believe you've played one. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It
I barely remember anything about it, unfortunately.
It had to be
But
the bowling alley, I think.
yeah. That's where I played all my arcades.
Gosh, that's so sick that
Yeah.
there's one just sitting right there.
I think it was in the Boonville one too.
That's incredible. That's crazy.
Yeah. I don't quote me on that part, but I kind of feel like it was. But like, I remember playing it, and I remember it being so cool because it was one of those things where like if I was playing it on my own, I didn't really mind if I got my butt whooped and had to pop another quarter in,
right.
you know, because it was just too much fun to play it. And it's so satisfying when you hit your magic, and like because it makes such a grand deal of it, and it's just so good. Oh.
And speaking of satisfying, it's just that's a like that Genesis collection I have on my PS5. I want to buy another arcade stick for my PS5, not for fighting games, which I mean for fighting games,
Yeah.
but also to play all those arcade ports that were
Yes.
because the Genesis was a ton of arcade ports, but to play those with an arcade stick, it is so satisfying.
Yes.
To click arcade buttons.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
It really is.
I love it.
It's a different feeling when you're playing a game.
And there's a lot of people, a lot of younger people, not much younger than us, that have never played an arcade.
I know,
game.
and it's so weird.
Insane.
It's so weird that
It's sad.
Yeah. Like, I mean, when they think of arcade game, they think of some racing sim or like a light gun thing at most.
Which is fine.
Which
but
is
it
great.
shouldn't be the only option we have.
But like, what happened to the Golden Axes, the Street Fighter arcade machines?
Now,
you know, the beat 'em ups.
The movie theater here in town actually has.
It has a respectable.
It's
like, for the
pretty
most
good.
part.
It used to be better, but it's pretty
Yeah.
good. But they just added a new machine, and I didn't know this. They made a Minecraft Dungeons arcade game.
Yeah.
And it's a very classic beat 'em up, except it prints out every time you buy a credit. It prints out a card, and that's your equipment. You scan it on the machine, and you get equipment for your character.
Huh.
And it's a beat 'em up. It's a lot like a Diablo.
Yeah,
Golden
yeah.
Axe mix. It plays a lot like it's just an arcadey version of the Minecraft Dungeons you have at home.
Yeah. That's cool.
And the best part is you keep the cards. So if you go back, you use those cards again.
and keep your equipment?
Me and my kids have a blast.
That's
playing it.
freaking awesome.
And it's like $1 a play.
Yeah, it's freaking
which
worth
is,
it.
You know, I posted on our social media when I played it because I was like, this is a great example of how we could be keeping arcades
Yes.
alive, and we're just not doing it.
Yeah.
Who would have thought Mojang and Microsoft Studios
I know.
would have been the one to be like, okay, let's make it. Well, okay, let's
Let's
make
an
an
arcade
machine.
cabinet of this.
That's fantastic.
That's sick. That is so awesome. I'm gonna have to check that out.
It's a
'cause-
huge machine. You can't miss it. 4 players can play at once.
Oh,
it's
nice.
It's probably the biggest arcade machine of like an actual arcade game I've ever seen in my
Oh,
life.
that's so cool.
It's very fun. The screen's huge. It's a lot of fun. Like, so me and my son will go, and my daughter is not really like. She's more into. She wants to play crane games. She wants
Yeah.
to do that. She loves racing games.
Oh, that's cool.
But he was all about sitting there, and we would just play. And like someone would come up and join our game, and he'd be like, "This is so cool! Like people just come and join your game." It's like, yes, this is the whole point. This is the entire point of
Yes.
this, and that was, Gosh, I hate that I never got the experience of just playing Golden Axe by myself and getting my ass kicked.
Oh
And
God.
some other guy coming up. It'd be the 90s.
Mhm.
He'd be good at the game, so obviously he'd have a leather jacket
Yes.
on and sunglasses. And he'd come up, not say a word to me, smash a Pepsi, specifically Pepsi.
Yep.
That was the 90s cola.
Yes, it was.
And he would pump a quarter in, and we'd beat the game in one run.
Yeah.
I wish I could have experienced that.
Oh my God. Yes, I never got that either. I got to play it on the cabinet, but I didn't get that experience. I just got my butt whooped continually and pumped in quarters.
And I love that that's like a badge of honor for us.
Yes.
You know, like, yep, I played the cabinet. No big deal or nothing.
It's
They,
fine.
And then we discuss where they had this machine. And one thing is there's a Tekken 2 machine in Evansville that I've been following because it moves a lot. It was at the movie theater here in town.
Mhm.
Then it wound up at the ice skating rink all alone in a corner. They don't have an arcade. They just had
Jesus.
an arcade machine sitting there on functioning because I only knew it because
Wow.
one of my son's friend had an ice skating party.
Uh-huh.
And so like at one point I've had all the ice I could stand. I'm lousy at it.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at it. So I actually got off the ice and went and played Tekken 2 for like an hour.
You hit him up, be like, look, guys, how much? Take it off your hands.
If it was Virtua Fighter 2, I probably would have asked. But so we just went on a tangent about arcades, but that's fine.
Yeah.
That's what this show's about.
It's related. Yeah.
And Golden Axe it really is just that this more so than any other game we've spoken about, I think has that pick up and play.
Yes.
I think this is the first game we've spoken about that really just I can't even remember what we did last week. Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
So obviously Mortal Kombat has a lot of pick up and play.
Mortal Kombat's similar, but at the same time with it being just a fighter.
Yeah, it's a fighter.
You know.
Whereas like there's in Mortal Kombat, you're just going up a ladder. You're just fighting more guys and more guys and more guys. And like Golden Axe, even though it is just a beat 'em up, it's not technically any different than Double Dragon or Streets of Rage or Final Fight. But it is. You really felt like you were on a quest to take on Death Adder.
Yeah.
You really did.
Well, yeah, because like in between the stages, they showed your map and you making notes of what your adventure was and what you ran into on your adventure.
So you had the map you were going across. You had the campsite scenes. It really showed you that it made you feel like you were making progress in this.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really distinguished it from those other games because it was literally different street.
Yes.
Like you were on a different street.
Yeah.
And maybe the boss, who is a guy, but he's like 8 times bigger than a guy.
Yeah, for reasons.
Whereas in Golden Axe, you're like, okay, these are giants.
Mhm.
Okay, these are they loved Minotaurs.
Yeah.
In Golden Axe.
Yeah, especially in the later. Well, no, there was Minotaurs too in the first one too, weren't there?
Yeah,
kinda.
They were sub bosses.
Yeah,
kinda.
I like the one of the things that was really cool too. These weren't bosses so much; they're your mounts.
Yes,
the mounts were super dope.
I made notes to structure this one, but we're hopping on because we're back to gameplay now. But so one thing you do is certain enemies will be riding mounts.
Yeah,
and they be monsters of some kind.
Mhm.
It's never a horse. It's always monsters of some kind. There's like dragons and like snail walkers and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's the two different dragons and that
you
guy.
You can knock the guy off of it and get on it yourself. And some of them whip with their tail. Some of them breathe fire.
Some of them spat fireballs.
Wicked.
Yes. Yeah, I know they're so good. I love them. Until one of the enemies does a charging flying kick and takes the mount back.
And there's actually a point I had a mini boss, a sub boss where there was a mount available, and I just happened to be wedged in the perfect part of the screen where all I could do, literally all I could do, is knock the guy off the mount, me get on the mount, him knock me off the mount, me knock the guy off the mount, get on the mount, him knock me off the mount, and we just had to do that until I had to reset the game. But
goodness,
part of it, you know.
Yeah,
and
that's funny though.
Yeah. Stuff like that I really like.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the silly stuff that could just come in these games.
Yeah.
And
that was on the silly stuff. Like, that's one thing I learned in my playthrough of Golden Axe this time. I shouldn't not probably playthrough when I just picked it up again. Is one of my favorite things is to bait the dudes into charging me so they run off a cliff. So I don't have to waste my life fighting them. I can just like whoop and sidestep them.
You played as the dwarf, and it did say that his tricks get him.
Yeah, it freaking worked so good too.
So do you think? Well, we've already covered that. I don't need to ask you that. one of my notes is, do you think the gameplay holds up? And we just
Totally.
went on a thing. Yeah.
Short answer is totally.
The gameplay totally holds up, and we're seeing a return to these games of classic beat 'em ups. That Scott Pilgrim versus the World, that was a beat 'em up game.
Yeah, that's true.
So they just released Streets of Rage 4 the other.
Oh,
year.
nice. Other year.
It was recent. It's been in the past 2 years, I think. But yeah, they made a Streets of Rage 4. I would love to see, because Sega, after Sonic 06, Sega had this weird thing where they were like, okay, we nearly ruined the most precious franchise we had. Guys, I want to make sure we absolutely ruin all the franchises we've ever had. Let's just release a bunch of dumbass games.
Yep.
And then let's start hating on... And then, like, Sega of America broke from Sega of Japan, was like, we're not bringing any of your other games over here. They're just going to fail anyway. We're going to make our own dang games. And they got a license with Marvel and released the worst comic book games of all time. Like, it was just a bad time to be a Sega fan from like 2006
really was.
to 2013.
Goodness.
It was a really fucking bad time.
Yeah.
But I feel like there was like I loved Phantasy Star Universe.
Yeah.
I feel like that was like the beginning of the end. I feel like we got Phantasy Star Universe. And then they're like, okay, here comes Sonic 06. And you remember how excited I was for Sonic 06. I was on the edge of my seat loving it, and it was just anyway, but
dark times.
They actually released a game, I think in like 2008 or so, called Golden Axe Beast Riders, and you could only play Tiras. And it was awful.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
Really, really bad.
I don't think I ever even bothered to play that one.
I would love you, and you could thank God for that. I would love for them to be like, let's go back and let's make a Golden Axe game.
Yes.
Like I feel like this, and one thing I hate about that Beast Riders was I felt like that's a very 90s thing where like our franchise has to become 3D because
reasons.
Because 3D is a thing now, we have to do this now. So that's where you got that dreadful Castlevania 64.
Yeah.
You got Bubsy 3D, which might be one of the worst video games ever made.
Oh my God, yeah.
And the thing is like, I remember at the time people dogged on the Saturn because it was still making a lot of 2D games. Because it was a 2D powerhouse. It really was not that great of a 3D system.
Yeah,
it
yeah.
really was. It could do it, but it had to cheese it.
Yeah.
And I think it did that well with like Virtua Fighter 2. It did that well with Knights. It did that amazing with Knights. Knights is an incredible looking game. But I remember people being like, ew, why are you playing this 2D? And that was their criticism of it, that it was 2D. It wasn't that it was objectively bad or that it even looked...
It's just 2D.
It looked amazing even.
Yeah.
It's just because it was 2D. And so I felt like we just put up with a lot of games that were just absolute ass because they had to make them 3D.
Because there's push for 3D,
and what's really sad is that discounts how incredible Mario 64 was. Because
oh my
God, was incredible because it was 3D. Mario 64 was incredible because they nailed it on their first try.
It was to this day I don't really have any complaints about that game. It's amazing. Yes,
it's an incredible game.
Yes, it plays great even on like the DS and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it just that is masterful game making, and it's just like everyone else was just scrambling to make 3D, even when it didn't make any sense to make 3D.
So here's a little side question for you though: if they were to take Golden Axe and make a new version of it similar to like the Minecraft dungeons, would that be acceptable 3D for Golden Axe?
Actually, I think that would be. I would think that would be the best bet they could do. Actually, is make that
almost like not quite a top
Diablo
down
style, isometric almost.
Yeah.
Kind of a modern isometric. No, I would be totally down for that.
Yeah.
I know there's probably people that are like, no, Golden Axe is
the purists.
But
I don't know. I think that'd be I'd be down for a Golden Axe game that looked like that.
For that.
Am I getting emails?
Closing thoughts. What ways to play Golden Axe?
Yeah.
It's actually harder not to play Golden Axe than it is to play Golden Axe. I believe they just added Golden Axe to that Nintendo Switch expansion pack.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Can't stand that they did that.
I know.
Just give us the Genesis. Why do I have to pay you more for Genesis and 64? Because first off, I don't give a shit about the 64. Because the best game that you had for the 64 ever is already on Mario 3D All Stars.
Yeah.
So I've already got it.
And they're not, and you're probably not going to find GoldenEye on that collection.
And I personally do not like GoldenEye, but that would be a must-have for that collection.
Just for the nostalgia.
Because everyone loves it. I personally don't like it, but I recognize it is a widely loved game.
I remember it being kind of not great looking back, but it's just the nostalgia value.
Yeah, and the Genesis, and as far as the Genesis, there's so many ways to get huge Genesis collections you can
Yeah.
get on modern systems. I'm not paying you more a month
I know.
to play. I feel like the expansion pack was just a misstep, and I very rarely have criticized Nintendo's Switch PR because they've been nailing it, honestly. But
They've been doing a good job on it.
That I think is
On it specifically, but
I think that expansion pack was a little silly.
Nintendo Nintendo's very hit and miss with their business practices.
They're getting there, aren't they? But I'm a Sega fan, so I cannot talk. So there's for PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X or the One or even the PS4, there is the Sega Genesis, the Sega Mega Drive collection, which it was of course called Mega Drive everywhere, but
Yeah.
in the US. They have a collection that has all 3 Golden Axe games on it. I suggest you play the hell out of 1 and just ignore 2 and 3. Revenge of Death Adder, the arcade sequel I heard was really good, but
Yeah.
the Genesis sequels were not very good. Gosh, there's that PS3 one you have.
Mine's it's Xbox 360.
Oh, well, it was for that one was for the PS3 as well.
Yeah.
And
So my copy at least is same difference though.
Steam.
Yeah.
It's got Steam releases. There's so many ways to play Golden Axe right now. You can play the Genesis original.
Yeah.
Which retro games are shooting up right now.
Mhm.
Bad. Let's take a eBay look here and see how much Golden Axe for the Genesis is going to set you back.
I don't even want to know what it is right now. Every now and again, I look at PlayStation 1 RPGs I want to pick up, and like
those have shot up.
I know it's like good price is $300.
Yep.
Because I'm trying to get a copy of Lunar 2 right now, and it's not easy.
Ooh, Lunar 2 is going to be bad because I believe there was no standard release. I
Yeah.
believe it was all that special edition.
It was always and I want it complete too. It has to be a complete collection of it. I want the map, everything. So
Yeah, you can get it for like anything from like $7 to 20 to 50, depending on what it's got in it.
there you go.
It's not that bad. So you play the Genesis original.
Yeah.
Screw
NFTs. Stock up on Genesis.
I believe the Genesis. Man, it would be so disappointing to know the Genesis Mini didn't have it. I would be mad if I booted up my Genesis Mini if I bought it because I missed out on it.
Yeah.
If
that
I
would be
booted
surprising.
If I booted that up and Golden Axe wasn't one of the selections, I'd be pretty ticked off.
Yeah.
So,
That'd be a little whack.
closing thoughts, Aaron. What do you want to tell the folks about Golden Axe?
Simply put, Golden Axe it's going to be best if you have your buddy.
Yes,
or,
absolutely.
Or more buddies if possible.
It's 2-player.
Yeah.
There's 3 characters, but there's only 2 players.
Get a buddy and play it, and it's just going to be fun. Golden Axe is so good at what it is designed to do that even when you have your stereotypical retro game, oh, that's kind of cheap. How'd he do that thing, right? It's
Right.
fun. It's so
fun.
good, and it's so satisfying playing it. The game's well over 20 years old, and 30 some odd years old now, and it holds up perfectly, and it still looks good. Like, you just play it. I can't really put it into words properly, but it is amazing.
Yeah, the fact that it came out in 1990.
Yeah.
So the Genesis' main competition was still the NES.
Mm-hmm.
They had not put out the SNES yet. So it was truly a great example of the ad campaign of Genesis does what Nintendo
don't.
It
It literally did it.
It looks amazing.
It does. Even right now, on like high def TVs, its pixels hold up.
And I think I'm gonna have to go to bed now, but I think the next time we get together to record, we should like set aside a half hour.
Mm-hmm.
I mean it, and like play Golden Axe before we record.
Oh, I'm down.
Together.
I'm down. Yeah, totally.
I would love to do it. I've got to. And the idea of playing it co-op on a couch just sounds great.
Oh, hell yeah!
It sounds great.
Hell yeah!
So guys, until we meet again, never assume that a man named for a fighting style with a certain weapon is going to use that weapon, okay?
Yes. And if you do make that assumption and lose that fight, let us know in the Discord.
Right, so we'll see you guys later.
Bye, guys.